Hi everyone, Laurel here, Minnesota Zone 5A, our new zone, officially, I guess. We got a little dusting of snow last night. It is the last weekend in November, Thanksgiving weekend. So just wanted to walk through, see what's going on over here. I've got this vinca that I'll bring onto the porch pretty soon. The snow is really good for all of the plants that I am overwintering. They got a little bit of a dusting, so that will kind of melt into them. I did get the rest of my pots stored, except for that one, which that creeping Jenny that's in there is hardy. So I'll be storing that in the shed, and it should survive for next year, next summer. And then that column, I just have to do a little rearranging in the garage to get that in there. But otherwise, the pots are all put away in the shed and ready for my overwintering plants. It's amazing that I have less than 20 this year. Most years I have 30 or 40 perennials and even shrubs to overwinter. But this year I was able to get a lot of things planted ahead of time, which is fantastic. A lot less work. These verbena are just so tough. They're not hardy in my zone though, so that'll just go into storage. The rosemary I can sometimes keep on the porch. Like that one was from last year that survived, so we'll see how I do. But yeah, it's kind of nice to see a little hint of what, oh, look at the cute little bird tracks in the snow. Look at that. Adorable. The birds are out all winter. We leave out the feeders all winter. What kind of looks good in the snow? Of course, all of this stuff by midwinter will be completely covered or crushed. I mean, we have feet of snow every year, so. But things look really pretty with just a dusting. You can kind of see some of the color, like those red stems on the dogwood. The honeysuckle is fixing to lose the rest of its leaves here pretty soon, and it'll just be a whole network of branches twisting around. Sedum seed heads, that's what I'm kind of getting to right now. Those always look really pretty in the snow, and then they tend to gather snow on the top too. So they can take a few heavy snowfalls before they kind of get weighed down. We've got the side garden here. The Bobo hydrangea blooms. Those eventually will kind of break off because they're real brittle, so they'll break off and I'll have hydrangea blooms blowing all over the yard. This area, not a lot of winter interest, other than maybe the bench, I suppose. I mean, and it's under the spruce trees, so that's something, but nothing much in here because it's a shade garden. So I suppose I could plant some winter interest, but we also have the arborvitae right next to them. And those really look pretty when they're covered with snow. Last year, I really had to work hard to keep those cleared, though, because we got so much really heavy snow and big storms. And the branches were weighed down, and a couple of them even broke. So I came out here, at least on my side of the fence, and with a big broom, as high as I could reach, I was knocking the snow off of those. But the birds just love it. They just hang out in those trees and fly back and forth to the bird feeders. I had some old squash in the basement, so I put that out so in case the squirrels want to have a snack, they can. And we've got just the hints of red and orange and green poking through here from some of the semi-evergreen stuff. Heucheras, the hardy geraniums, the hellebore, and the Virginia there. And then, of course, the Hakanakloa grass looks really pretty, still sticking up in the snow. And back here, now that the leaves are gone, you can kind of see this area a little bit better with this yew shrub and the strawberry strawberries and cream ribbon grass. It's sort of my stick refuse pile. I'll put that in the new garden bed. These grasses look pretty in that heuchera poking up. And nice view. I can't wait to have my other garden bed in there. And then I plan to buy a couple circle ones. I think I want to live with the 2 rectangle ones for, oh, bird fight just happened. Oh boy. Watch out. The rectangle ones for a little while before I decide what I want to do and what size I want to get of the circle garden beds. All right, and we're back. I just had to pause there for a little bit. Continue walking here. Just look at the texture and the color on that dried grass up there. So pretty. I do have a couple. I stored most of my concrete pieces, but a couple left. I'll take up that mushroom. And I have the little lion, which is behind me right now. Over here. I think they look really pretty with the snow on them too. But it's going to warm up again. It'll be high 30s, maybe low 40s later this week and into next week. So shouldn't be too big of a deal. Get those picked up. I also was able to find more space once I organized the shed, so a little bit of orange left on the barberry leaves. We've got the strawberry daiquiri dogwood back there with its red stems. All the beautiful seed heads. Look at the allium with the snow on top. Those are millennium allium. And the bee balm seed heads back there too. Capture the snow. I have a sedum. That's an Angelina sedum, kind of in between the barberry there. You can see it. It's partially covered with snow. That actually planted itself. I have that in other places in the garden, but a little chunk of it must have hitchhiked and made its home right there. So I just let it grow. It doesn't take over stuff. It doesn't crowd things out. Fairlight hydrangea blooms. I wish these would stay up all winter, but again, just like the other ones, they get brittle, and in the heavy snow, they kind of drop off, blow around the yard. So by spring, these branches will be bare. But they are ornamental for at least the first part of winter, which I appreciate. Yeah, they are so pretty. They're kind of a darker color too compared to the others because the blooms are darker. We've got the either All That Glitters or All That Glows viburnum with some color on it still. The North Pole arbovita. I do plan to plant another arbovita, 1 or 2 more, I'm not sure, back here. I think I have to do a yew or something that can grow in the shade as well for some evergreen interest, which I really want to add because while these things look pretty now, like I said in the earlier part, before we get huge snow load, very few of these things will actually be showing later on, depending on how much snow we get, how heavy the snowfall is. Of course, the arbovita and the deciduous shrub branches will be showing, but these blooms will be lost eventually. Last year, all the perennials were covered in our huge snow load. The bench, even last year, the snow was over the top of the bench for most of the winter, or just the top of the bench would melt in the sun and kind of peek out. We've got the other All That Glitters or Glows in the back. I can't remember which is which. They're a pair that pollinate each other, although they don't get a lot of sun, so they don't bloom. So They're still young though, they might down the line. More hydrangea blooms. This is a little lime hydrangea. And then we've got the limelight back there. You never know because of these trees that are growing right along the electrical pole here. The city could come down and chop all of those down, and then this area will have a lot more sun. So a lot of things will get bigger. It still has part shade because the sun, the trees in the neighbor's yard provide a lot of shade throughout the day as the sun passes overhead east to west. But a lot of stuff in here could stay. I would have to move some things if this is the main shade that gives it shade all day if those ever got cut down. Sage is still doing okay. We haven't gotten cold enough to kill off the sage or the rosemary back here. It will, but just not yet. I did come and got a whole bunch of leaves from my aunt's house. She has 5 mature oak trees and 2 mature maple trees, so she gets a ton of leaves. So my garden bed with the garlic in it, I coated that in about a 2 to 3 inch layer of, and these are shredded, they're with the leaf shredder. Shredded up. Same thing, I put about a 2 inch layer on top of all of these grow bags. And on the top of this garden bed as well. Oh, I keep forgetting to pull the carrots. Soil isn't frozen solid yet, but I can feel it starting to freeze. You can feel it under your feet. The top layers are starting to freeze. I got a bunch of bags of shredded leaves, so we'll add some to the compost. But I also use it in the garden just as mulch. So like next weekend I'll come back here and kind of along, these are all full of shredded leaves, finely shredded. So all along the back here, I'll mulch up with leaves, kind of in between the plants and around the crowns of the plants. I don't cut anything back, so all of this foliage is just going to stay up all winter. It helps protect the plant. And also, it does stick up above the snow, so it does provide some winter interest. But then I just like to do that stuff in the spring because I'm like hungry for gardening. Because usually just like fall, where we go straight from summer and then we get like a week of fall and then we go to winter, it seems like the same thing happens in the spring. We might get a little tease of some warm weather for a week or two, and then it goes back to like 40s and rainy, and then boom, it's summer all of a sudden. So I'm always and that's not till April or May. I don't even cut back my hydrangeas usually till late April, early May. I don't need to. That's when our spring comes. So I'm just dying for stuff to do in the garden before that. So I enjoy coming out here and pruning everything and grooming, and digging around for signs of the plants coming back up and starting to sprout. It's a fun thing to do for me in spring. So I really like the seed heads on the goldenrod too. This is a dwarf goldenrod. I have 3 of them. That one was struggling a little bit, but these 2 did well. I got those on super clearance last summer. Planted them in the fall, so this was their first full year. They did flop open, so I'll put grow frames around them. In the spring, I'm just going to leave that. There's already one on this guy there. I'll just leave that. The spirea looks nice too down here. It's now lost most of its leaves, but that looks a lot better than it has past few years. So yeah, just wanted to share. I really want some winter interest back here. That yew in the back there will get bigger eventually. It's an upright yew, so it'll stay columnar and more narrow. Want to do another upright yew back, where am I pointing? Back in here. So we've got that one up there. And then just kind of along the back where there's currently grass, I'll kind of walk and show you. I don't remember if I've talked about this before. So when I planted this bed, I left about 6-7 feet of space between the back of the bed and the fence to be able to pass through easily and mow back. You need a wide enough space that a mower can go down and back and have room to turn around. But I really wanted these deciduous shrubs to be a screen for the summertime, just a privacy screen for both me and the neighbors, screening from each other. But it's kind of bare. I want more winter interest in the winter and things to look at too. So I think what I'd like to do is plant some evergreens kind of dotted on the left and the right side along the back here to create more of a winter screen and just something to look at in the wintertime. And then transition this grass to a no-mow fescue because that can grow in the shade. And it could be mown maybe once or twice a year, I think is what they recommend to keep it in the best shape. But that would be great and not have to mow here at all, have a little sort of grassy walking path. I don't know if any of you have ever done that or planted no-mow grass. I'd be curious to know your experience with it. I was thinking about mulching in between, but that's a big job to constantly mulch every year. I would rather have grass, but you wouldn't be able to get a mower through because I also want evergreens. So thinking that's my solution. It does get part sun now. Of course, it would get a little more shade if I start planting more evergreens, even though they're upright. But anyway, that's that, I guess. Yeah. I suppose I could go around to the front yard real quick. I don't think there's a ton to look at up there. I do have some dogwood. These are dogwood that I trimmed, and another branch, I forget what that's from, probably the lilac, that I trimmed in the spring and saved them. I don't do planters outside or Christmas planters because they freeze in place and we don't have space to put snow and a planter where it's fun to look at. So I thought once we get some snow, I would just kind of stick those in a bunch in the snow itself just for some decoration. Or maybe I won't. I'll just get tired of it. I do have some mums here. These are still in bloom. I'll be moving those onto the porch and they overwinter. I'll just cut them back. Oh, the poor viola. It got down like to the teens the last couple nights. I think the next 2 days are going to be kind of chilly. And then we get a warm up again, maybe into the 40s. Like I said, high 30s, low 40s, and it'll be in the 20s again overnight. So this little garden looks pretty. All the sedum in here, with snow on the top, and some allium as well. Looks nice in the snow. Of course, we've got all of the evergreens here up front, and then I did plant, so I had geraniums in here this summer, and then at the end of the summer, when garden tents are going super clearance, I bought a bunch of this Carex grass just to plant in the fall, and it's not hardy, it'll die. The creeping Jenny on there is hardy, but just something to put in here so it's not bare. I'd rather have this. It does get completely covered with snow. I could do, I suppose, like a Christmassy, wintry type thing, but I guess I'm just not motivated for that. And then we've got these boxwoods here. These will get completely weighed down by snow, but they always pop back up, and it keeps them from getting winter burn. So we've got the grasses and the Carex there looking pretty. Hellebore in the back, kind of weighed down a little bit. And the two little quickfire hydrangeas. And I do like these. These aren't hardy here, and of course they're dormant and they'll eventually die. But this little annual Rudbeckia seed heads look cute sticking up too. So I still haven't cut back the irises. This weekend was kind of my weekend to work indoors. I've to get some organizing done in the basement, get more houseplants pulled inside off the porch. Put up my Christmas tree, at least the one in the house. I also do one on the porch. Could do a little tour of those once I get them up. I do like getting snow at this time of year. This is the time of year when I want snow, and then I'm kind of over it by the end of January. And of course, we just have way more winter left after January, but I want it to feel Christmassy. Here in the Twin Cities, they always say that we have a 75% chance of having a white Christmas, so it's a bummer the years that we don't get snow at least leading up to Christmas. Even if it's not on the ground on Christmas Day, it's like I want snow for most of December. I don't need a big snowstorm, but I do like having a layer on the ground, having a coating. More than this. This is just a dusting. I want a few inches. Something that'll stick and not just melt. All right. As usual, lots of noises out here. So that's it. Maybe this got you in the holiday spirit, hopefully. It's a little bit of snow. Hope you all have a great day. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.